beginning of this anime is a little different. The hero who is stuck in the middle of the fight of Demon Lord and the future of the world is happening at the beginning of the episode. The end of the fight between the two is something like this. Both of their swords crossed each other and ended there. Defeating Demon Lord by giving his life, the hero saved the world. Now let's see the scene of an academy from here, where today a new naughty student has been admitted. Jumping, smiling, he enters the academy. He says that now I will be able to make many friends. Now I will be able to live a normal life. While warning the students, he tells everyone his name is Blade. With such his sticky actions, he made 4 new friends. But the real purpose of Blade is very big. He has to make at least 100 friends. When these people were talking, one of the top students of the academy, Arnest, comes there. He says to them in anger that why are you making noise in the hall? Stupid Blade also starts talking to Arnest and tells him his name is Blade. Arnest had the attitude of being a top student. He starts throwing knowledge that those people come to Rosebud Academy whose purpose is to become a hero, to save the world. That's why you all should be disciplined. Blade says that I have no interest in becoming a hero. I have just come here to make new friends. Now listen to this. Arnest gets triggered and starts getting angry at Blade. Then Blade remembered and he asks Arnest, where's the headmaster's office? Arnest also brings Blade thinking that he will teach him a lesson there. But as soon as he comes to the headmaster's office, Arnest is shocked because the king was sitting on the headmaster's chair. She bows down and greets him, but Blade was moving forward like he had met an old friend of his. She tries to stop Blade and falls on her face. She starts shouting at Blade and bows her head in front of the king. The king laughs and says that the old headmaster used to praise you a lot, Arnest. Arnest is a little surprised to hear what the old headmaster means. We get to know that from now on, the king will be the new headmaster of Rosewood Academy. Arnest is surprised to hear this, but she was also happy that she was able to talk to the king face to face. Embera starts talking a lot of nonsense in front of the king, so the king himself tells him to go out quietly because he had to talk to Blade about something personal. Embera gets very angry at Blade. She was abusing Blade outside the gate. How can she be so friendly with the king? Anyway, Blade asks the king what he is doing here. The king is happy and tells Blade that he is trying to get his power back. Now Blade was stopping him from doing this. He is enjoying living this ordinary life. And anyway, Demon Lord is over now. Yes, in that fight, when Demon Lord's sword hit Blade, many of his powers were over. And this makes it clear that Blade is the same hero who saved the world from Demon Lord's wrath. The king does not listen to him for an hour. He is sure that he will get the lost powers of Blade soon. On the other hand, we see Arnest standing alone. Then Blade comes to him smiling. Arnest is surprised to see what Blade is doing here in the advanced class. Blade also shows Arnest his advanced class badge. Arnest guesses from himself that Blade must have cheated in the exam. Arnest tells Blade that this place is not for people like you who are not serious about becoming a hero. Blade says, don't say that. I am serious, but in making new friends. After which Blade starts telling everyone his name again and tells those people to be his friends. Arnest yells and says that, why are you not listening to me? Blade touches his hair and says that, I am listening to you. Arnest was blushed with shame. She attacks Blade, but Blade's fury was such that he easily dodged that attack. Arnest was also surprised to see this. Then a girl comes there and tells Arnest that the instructor has asked everyone to gather. Blade also tells him his name, but that girl does not pay attention to Blade. She says that, is this a command? Blade tells him his name again, after which that girl also tells her name, Sophie. Anyway, Arnest calls the instructor to check Blade's ability, and she was very serious about this. She has a shield of enhanced metal in front of Blade. By cutting it, Blade has to prove whether he is worthy of staying in this class or not. And if Blade is not able to do this, then he will have to admit that he cheated in the exam and will have to leave this academy. Blade used only a little of his strength. In the meantime, the shards of that armor fly away. There was a hole in the wall of the academy. Even the advanced class students there were in a bad condition. In a bad condition, Arnest comes to Blade and asks who he is. Blade gets scared and says that I am an ordinary person like you. Now in lunchtime, we see Arnest having lunch alone. Then Blade comes to him, and he also asks his other friends to come and sit here. But seeing Arnest sitting there, he refuses to come. Arnest tells Blade that this seat is booked for him. Blade asks him that, do you bully everyone? Arnest refuses, and the real thing is that everyone is afraid of him, but she does not tell the reason why everyone is afraid of him. Then Blade eats the first bite of curry rice. He liked it so much that he starts filling it in his stomach like a hungry man. He starts praising that person that how great he must have been. Who had discovered this curry? Anyway, Arnest apologizes to Blade for what he said when he called him a cheater, but Blade was not listening to him at all. He was just looking at his curry rice. After finishing his curry rice, Blade says thank you to Arnest. Arnest shouts and says that, why are you saying thank you to me? Blade says that he was able to make many friends here because of him. Arnest asks who is the friend. Then Blade points at him. Arnest's face was red like a tomato again. She asks, when did we become friends? Blade says that we are eating together, so we are friends, right? Arnest sits quietly by saying that he does not have any problem in becoming his friend. Here she does not say much, but when she comes to her room, she starts talking about Blade, that how big fool he is. Eating together does not make friends. But then thinking this, she starts feeling shy that she has made her first friend. But then Arnest's sword starts moving. Arnest Arnest was scared. We see that childhood of Arnest when he saw this sword for the first time. The voice of the devil was coming out of this sword. Give everything to me. As soon as he touches the sword, Arnest's black hair turns red. Like Arnest was in his control, she wanted to destroy everything. Now the story comes back to the present. Arnest says to his sword that she is the next head of the Flaming family. She is not going to bow down to him. Now the next day in advanced class, we see Arnest training with Leonard. Arnest asks Leonard to use all his strength. Even with the full strength of Leonard, Arnest easily defeated him, after which Sophie comes to fight him. But Sophie also immediately gives up in front of him. Now Arnest asks Blade to come and fight with him. Blade had no problem with this, but now Arnest is very tired. Arnest tells him to close his mouth and fight with him, but then suddenly something happens to him, and she becomes unconscious. Blade takes her to the medical room of the academy. There, the nurse tells Blade that she can treat injuries and diseases, but magic and curse are things beyond her level. At the same time, Arnest also comes to his senses. As soon as she gets up, she starts panicking and asks what did she do. Blade tells her that nothing happened. You just fainted. The doctor tells her to rest for a while, but Arnest does not listen to her and starts arguing with the nurse, after which Blade takes his responsibility and takes Arnest away from there. As soon as he comes out, Arnest removes Blade and says that she can walk by herself. Blade tells her that you can depend on me. After all, we are friends. Arnest just says that don't tell anyone what the nurse said. Now that night, Blade had come to some high-tech place. Here, he had caused a lot of destruction. Blade came here to find out about Arnest's sword in this secret room. He found out about Demon's sword Asmodeus. Now he goes straight to Arnest from here. Arnest starts thinking that Blade wants to talk to him privately. Does he want to threaten him? Because he is the top student of the academy. Does Blade want to remove him and sit in the position of the top student? Blade says that all this is nonsense. You are the one I am interested in. She shocked Arnest. She says that, what are you talking about? Blade says that I have known the secret behind your sword. Arnest was surprised. After this, the scene changes. Blade tells Arnest that the demon in your sword, she has not given you her full ownership. He asks her what happened. Arnest says that when she was 6 years old, then by touching her by mistake, she was cursed by the demon's sword. At that time, the Asmodeus demon in that sword had entered her. She still hears her voice that destroy everything. There is only one way to get rid of all this. Arnest will have to convince her to give her full ownership, but there is a big danger in this too. If Arnest fails, then Asmodeus will completely control him. Blade tells her to do this. First, Arnest completely refuses her, but then, seeing the fire in Blade's eyes, she also agrees to do this. Now, Arnest calls Asmodeus with her sword. After that, she also got into that sword. She sees the demon's sword Asmodeus in front of her. She tells him to give herself to him completely, although this is not so easy. To control Asmodeus, Arnest will have to defeat him. Outside, a demon comes out of Arnest's sword's fire. She wanted to destroy everything around her. She starts moving towards Blade to attack him, and Blade fixes her in one slap. Inside, there was a fierce battle between Arnest and Asmodeus. This effect of their fight was also affecting the outside world, but Blade seems to be cold there. The attacks around him have no effect on him. Finally, Arnest also wins this fight, and now, Arnest was looking more beautiful and confident than before. And in the advanced class, our Blade was training. This training is so light for him that he does not even need to take out his sword. Seeing this, Arnest comes to him and tells him not to insult his opponent. Blade was looking at him very carefully. He says that you look different today. Arnest is surprised and asks if this is true. Blade starts thinking what is different in Arnest today. Leonard also tries to tell him by gesture, and then Blade realized that he does not know. Leonard starts attacking Blade by saying that when a girl changes her hairstyle, she should pay attention to her. Arnest was shocked. Anyway, Arnest says that if Blade has time to hang out with people like Leonard, can he pay attention to Sophie too? Hearing such bitter things about himself, poor Leonard was broken. Sophie takes people's words like a command. She is not friendly with anyone. That day, Sophie told her name to Blade. This is why Arnest has some expectations from Blade. Now Blade goes back to Sophie and tells her his name, and says that he has come here to help him in his training. Sophie asks him if this is a command. Now, both of them had the same IQ level. Blade starts thinking that is it? Anyway, Blade says that he has come here because he wants to help him. Sophie slowly says that she can only use her hands in the fight. Blade takes out his own blade and says that he can teach other ways of fighting. Sophie asks again if this is a command. This time, Blade knew. He clearly refuses that this is not a command. He wants to teach him as a friend. Sophie can refuse if she wants, but Sophie does not refuse. She also wants to learn. Blade was also happy to hear this, but as soon as they were about to start, the bell of the class rings. Poor Blade was broken. Arnest also taunts him and says that you spent all the time talking sweetly. There we see Sophie smiling for the first time. Now, after the break, Blade teaches Sophie swordplay, but she was not able to use the sword. Blade explains to her that her attention should not be on her hands, but on the sword. By considering the sword as a part of one's own body, anything can be cut easily. It did not seem at all from the face that Sophie understood anything, but after training all evening, Sophie also learned to do this. Blade also praises Sophie, so Sophie asks him if she can defeat him now. Sophie was talking about defeating Arnest here. Blade says that it is difficult to say. Ernest is really very strong. So suddenly, Sophie locks Blade's body and sits on it and asks, how was this? Blade also praises that this was a very good technique. Now he tells her to move away because he was not even able to move. Sophie comes close to Blade and says that if your opponent could not move, then this would be a good position. Anyway, she thanks Blade and says that she wants to learn more from him. The next day, King called Blade to himself. He asks him how his school is going. Blade does not take him seriously. He says that I have made some new friends. King tries to ask Blade about his best friend, but Blade refuses to tell him clearly. Yes, but he does tell that he has recently befriended Sophie. King already knew that Blade would definitely show interest in Sophie. He tells that Sophie is very powerful. Still, it is an incomplete project. He says that it was made to surpass the great hero. Blade is shocked to hear that Sophie is an artificial great hero, which was made to surpass Blade. Some groups tried to make the great hero by using forbidden knowledge. They chose a person. They did a lot of experiments on him to put the power of great heroes in him. Not only this, but at least 12 duplicates of him were made. But only Sophie was able to survive among those 12 duplicates. Sophie's real name was Sophie Tia Femto. Femto means 12, meaning that Sophie was the 12th duplicate. Blade thought that this group was run by King. He starts getting angry at him, but King tells that he was the one who killed this group. He had freed Sophie too, but in response, he says that is this a command? Blade runs away from there. He was blaming himself for all this. Because of that, Sophie's normal life was snatched from him. He wanted to give Sophie's normal life back to her, and then he gets hit that he doesn't even know himself. After all, how is normal life? He had started killing monsters at the age of 3. He goes to the doctor to answer this question of his. After all, what do children of his age normally do? The doctor says that maybe you are talking about war. Just holding this word, Blade runs away from there and asks Leonore, what does this war do? He just says that maybe love show? And Blade just hears this and goes to some girls and asks, what is love? Those girls shyly say that maybe going on a date with their love is called love. Now holding this thing, he goes to Arnish and asks, what is this date? Hearing this question, Arnish gets very surprised. She starts feeling shy. She says shyly that spending time like a couple, talking, going shopping is called a date. Now Arnish starts saying shyly that this is happening very soon. I am not ready for all this. But till then, Blade had said that he was going on a date. Hearing this, Arnish is left speechless. On the other hand, Blade goes to the girls' bathroom to meet Sophie and directly asks her to go on a date with him. Sophie always asks, what is this command? Blade says that this is not a command, but he wants her to go on a date with him. Sophie also agrees to go with him. We see that Blade has made a complete list of dates. What are they going to do on the date? We see that Arnish is also keeping an eye on both of them. Anyway, these two start the date with a good walk in each other's hands. See, Arnish gets angry that how can these people do this in a public place? They were really enjoying the date. They were eating ice cream together. They were roaming together. At one place, Sophie wanted to feed the fish in the pond, but in that pond, Arnish and the girls with him were keeping an eye on them. Due to putting so much fodder together, their pipes get blocked. Going to the game zone, they also caused a loss unknowingly. Arnish has to pay for it. Finally, Blade brings Sophie to a beautiful place to drink coconut juice. But the problem was that this juice was for couples. Because of this, Blade has to come very close to Sophie. As soon as he touched her cheeks, Blade jumped. Sophie asks him what happened. Blade replies that nothing. But actually, Blade's heart was beating very fast. Arnish, who was sitting next to him, seemed to be in shock after seeing him like this. Arnish's friends give him ice cream to eat. After eating it, he was in a good mood. We know that Arnish has never enjoyed life like this. But while eating ice cream like this, he did not pay attention that both of them have left. There, Blade was checking in his list that where are they going to go now? But then he notices that he has no time left. Then Sophie says to him that it's okay. Let's take a shortcut. After which the two of them, using their powers, cross the entire city in 2 jumps. We see that it was evening by now. Blade was sitting in front of a beautiful fountain with Sophie. He tells her that this is a legendary fountain, but he doesn't know why he is told this. Anyway, Sophie tells him that she had a lot of fun today. She asks Blade why he did all this for her. Blade says that because we are friends. Listen to this. Sophie's eyes get bigger. Sophie says that if we are friends, then there should be no secret between us. Saying this, she tells Blade everything that King had told her. Like a great hero, she can also control the laws of physics, but because of a failed project, she does not have full control over all this. Sophie has gravity manipulation. That is, she can increase or decrease her weight by 10,000 times. After seeing all this, Blade wanted to tell her something, but then Sophie stops time for a while. After using the power of the great hero, Sophie was very tired. She says that she is a defective piece because she can use the power of the great hero for only 10 seconds. Now, after listening to Sophie, Blade also decides that he will also tell her his truth. He tells Sophie that he is the great hero. Hearing this, Sophie is very surprised. She did not expect this at all, but Blade's all those powers are now over. Blade apologizes to Sophie. He is ready for every punishment. It is his own fault that Sophie was also born with these cursed powers. Blade was telling his powers as a curse. Blade never wanted to be a great hero, but people wanted him to save people, so he had to become a great hero. He has been fighting monsters with his life life since the age of 3. Still, no one respects his sacrifice. People used to get angry at him when he could not save anyone. He is a great hero. Why couldn't he save them? Blade gets very sad while telling his story. Sophie runs to Blade and hugs him. She tells him that after being rescued by the king, she went on a journey to find out who he is. In his journey, he met many people. He met many cities that were saved by the great hero. She says that even if it was not your choice, but you are a great hero, and you should be proud of it. Blade hugs Sophie tightly and says that he will never be able to do this. Sophie says it's okay, but it is a matter of pride for him that he was made to be an artificial great hero. She wants to be like Blade. Hearing this, Blade is surprised and also happy about it. They hold each other's hands and promise that their secrets will remain only with them. Now we see Blade eating food in the canteen, and a little food gets on his lips too, which Sophie cleans with her handkerchief. Seeing them so close, Arnish gets mad. She was angry at Blade that only then his other friends come there, and today he was wearing a casual dress instead of a uniform. This means that these 4 have also been promoted to advanced class. Advanced class children can wear any kind of clothes of their choice. Those girls ask Blade how she is looking, to which Blade gives them a very weak answer. But Leonard understands their words and praises their beauty because beautiful things should be praised. But Leonard had made those girls uncomfortable. By the way, then Arnish tells that a magical beast has been brought to King's school. The boys get scared that have they brought him for training? And then suddenly the whole academy starts moving. Can this be a big earthquake? Outside the academy, we see some soldiers who are trying to stop a big thing. Blade comes there and sees that this is a huge dragon. Is this the same magical beast that King has brought? Blade jumps and fixes the dragon in one go. He asks him that, "Are you hungry?" The dragon opens his mouth and Blade feeds him his curry, which was so spicy for him that he starts spitting fireballs. By the way, everyone is looking at Blade from a different perspective due to this deed of Blade. He defeated such a big dragon in one punch. Blade tries to explain to everyone that this was very normal, but no one was able to believe him. And then suddenly, behind Blade, that dragon turns into a little girl. She was stuck with Blade. She was thinking of him as her father. She was so stuck that Blade could hardly separate her. Then Blade asks the rest that where did that dragon go? Arnish somehow tells Blade that that dragon has turned into this girl. Blade tells him that, "Have you been drunk?" But then Sophie also says the same thing, and Blade immediately believes her, which makes Arnish jealous. Now that girl starts sticking with Blade again. She was thinking of Blade as her parent because Blade defeated her with one punch. She was asking Blade to play with her. Now, after a while, we see the father and daughter taking a bath, and it's not good to see anyone taking a bath. By the way, Blade has named this dragon Chuchulin. She asks her father, "What does Chu mean?" Suddenly, Arnish comes there during the good time of the father and daughter. Seeing Blade bathing, she starts feeling shy, and Blade's mistake is that he should have told her. Anyway, Arnish has found out some things about Chu. He is a magical beast who always runs after power. Whoever defeats him, he takes the form of them, but it is very rare for a dragon to take the form of a human. Blade understands that now the finger is going to rise on him. He starts making excuses that, "You mean that someone defeated Chu in the last life?" Arnish asks if you have given him this name, on which Chu comes out and says yes. Arnish sees Chu. She gets very angry at Blade, that he is bathing a girl without clothes. In anger, she kicks Blade in the face and leaves him. Now the next day, we see Blade feeding Chu, but when someone else tries to feed him, then Chu gets angry. She says that, "I do not make friends with the weak." Blade tells her to calm down. Then Chu also agrees, but with some conditions. Blade will have to give her a morning kiss every day. He will have to sit on his lap and feed her, and he will have to stop all these bad deeds of Blade by tearing the body of girls of his age. He will have to stop all this. In this way, Chu leaves by setting fire here, but there was a tension atmosphere for Blade there, because they had believed that Blade beats girls. At the time of class, no one even trains with Blade. Neither does Arnish let anyone do it. And then Chu comes there roaming. Blade asks him for training. Chu happily comes with Blade. She says that, "I do not need training, but I will do it for you." But then Blade's friends come there. What happened a little busy with them that Chu had gone from there by then. It was evening. We see Chu roaming in the academy. While roaming, she sees some children doing training. Those children also ask Chu to join them, but Chu says and runs away from there that we have no match. While running away, she collides with Blade. Blade asks her what happened. She does not tell the truth to Blade and says that, "I am hungry." Blade also says that, "Let's eat curry." Hearing this, Chu also becomes happy. After the feast, Chu was asleep and Blade was sitting next to her. Then Arnish comes there to talk to Blade. She had come to tell Blade that after being born, the first thing the dragons see is their parents. So it may be that when Chu was born, then he had no one. Arnish wanted to make Blade realize that he will have to tell Chu one day that he is not his real parent. Blade knows this very well, but he can't leave Chu alone. He knows the pain of being alone. Arnish says with a smile that you are serious to take care of him. Now Arnish asks Sophie that you are also satisfied. We see that Sophie is also here for a long time. She was worried about Blade. Blade tells her that everything is fine. There is nothing to worry about. Now Blade goes back to his room, but there he sees that Chu is not in his room. He finds her sitting on the top of the the academy, from where she was looking at the moon. She says to Blade that the big moon is dad, and the small moon is daughter, and these two always stay together. Blade asks Chu why she doesn't make friends, on which Chu replies that humans are very weak. They are not worthy of my friendship. And anyway, dragons always live alone and die alone. She says to Blade that she doesn't need anyone. If she needs, then only hers. The next day, Blade goes to King for help. His direct answer was that, "What do you think of me? I am not a babysitter." Blade explains to him that there are only two of us in the academy who can take care of Chu. He asks, "Where is Chu?" On which King tells him a story. King tells that when he was taking care of Chu, then his beard was sticking to Chu, by which Chu runs away from there. Blade gets tense that now he will have to do more work. It becomes evening while looking for Chu, but she is not found anywhere in the whole academy. When Blade was going back to his room after getting tired, he hears the sound of Chu from inside the room. Chu was playing with some dolls inside. She gave all those dolls the name of Blade's friends. Blade was very happy to see this, but then he realizes that Chu remembers the names of 108 people, which means that Chu really needs someone to call her friend. Like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more epic anime explanations.